Welcome to Everyone's a Millionaire podcast, where we explore the world of wealth and finance and provide insights and inspiration to help you achieve your financial goals. Do you ever dream of becoming a millionaire but don't know where to start? Or perhaps you're already on your way to accumulating significant wealth, but want to learn more about the strategies and habits of other successful millionaires. In this podcast, we'll bring you interviews with successful entrepreneurs, investors, and financial experts, as well as research-based insights and practical tips to help you build and grow your wealth. We'll cover topics such as how to invest in stocks, real estate, and other assets, how to manage debt and save for retirement, and how to build a mindset for financial success. Whether you're just starting out on your financial journey or you're a seasoned investor already looking for new insights and ideas, Everyone's a Millionaire is the podcast for you. So sit back, relax, and join us as we explore the fascinating world of wealth and finance. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Everyone's a Millionaire. I got an awesome guest today. Great guy, amazing human, good friend, hell of a real estate investor, Mr. Alan Biel. Alan, welcome to Everyone's a Millionaire, brother. How are you?
I'm good, David. One of my favorite people. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, man, I appreciate you. I've been looking forward to this. I am really happy you're here because you're going to have a lot to teach the audience here today, man. So, Alan, do me a favor. I know your bio, of course, but, give us a bio for the audience here. Who is Alan and, what are you all about, brother?
Well, I'm Alan. I'm married to an amazing wife. I've got 3 kids that are 9, 7, and 7 years old. I enjoy coaching their sports teams and enjoy running my real estate business. As far as a bio, I've got... growing up, I was big into sports, and as I got older, I did pretty well in school as well. So made the grades, pretty well in sports, played college tennis, ended up becoming a tennis pro. And I realized pretty quickly that I was not going to make a lot of money doing that, but made good money teaching tennis and at country clubs, and always did real estate on the side. So did that for quite a few years. And fast forward ahead, I eventually went full-time into real estate. Quite a few years ago now. And is that good? Is that good for a bio?
Yeah, no, that's great. You did amazing. I totally forgot that you were a tennis pro. That's so cool. I totally forgot about that, but it's all coming back to me.
For many years.
That's amazing. Okay, so what strategy, or I should say, in what area have you used over the last, decade or so, maybe even longer than that, of course, but have you used to essentially create the majority of your income in your wealth? Has it been stocks? Has it been real estate? Has it been crypto? Like what's the area?
Real estate, single family real estate primarily has been very good to me.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, cool. Well, hey man, I appreciate you being here. We have 5 simple questions beyond the bio and that last one I just asked you. And let's jump in and rock and roll, man. It's really easy. So, number 1, what was your biggest financial mistake or setback? And how did you recover from it, and what did you learn from it?
Oh goodness,
it's a 3-part question.
Probably biggest mistake financially. I've had a bad business partnership many years ago where arguably maybe shouldn't have made the partnership in the first place, but where I don't think I handled my part of it very well. And I'm trying to think how specific to be, because I know we have a time crunch here, but I would say, I don't think that I handled myself in the partnership well. I think if you're going to have a partner, and David, you got at least one business partner.
Several, absolutely.
So I think if you're going to have a partnership, what I learned from this is go into it with the right expectations. I think be clear about, do you even need a partner? Most people do not need business partners, and what they may think they need is a business partner. What they may actually need is a really good couple employees, or maybe a better business structure, maybe some better habits, some better personal habits in their life. And there's great books and seminars that people can do for that don't require giving up 50% equity in things. And by the way, I'm not saying that I regret necessarily everything about it. I think we've all been through things where you learn from it. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad things happen the way that they do. I'm a believer that everything happens for a reason, just that we may not always know what the reasons are. But how did I recover, I think, was one of the questions. So parting ways, and this particular business partner, we owned some assets and had accumulated some somewhat valuable assets. And so first was the process of parting ways, which, as we, when you have business partners and there's equity in things and ownership in things, and then there's other expectations that have come along with it. So getting attorneys involved and get the paperwork done to part ways. And then after that, it's a good opportunity. I don't know if you've ever been in this situation, David. It's a good opportunity to, to me, you immediately turn lemons into lemonade. I think that's part of our job. And so the lemons is what we're dealt. We got to turn that into lemonade. And so it was a good opportunity to stop and think, what do I want? What am I good at? What do I want to do? Where am I headed? And that's actually when I started wholesaling houses, which I'd never done before. I'd always flipped houses. I've always had rental properties. And that coming out of that ended up being, it didn't take 3 months, 6 months later. And we were buying and selling, 40, 60, 80, 100 houses a year, and really scaling up in a way that I otherwise, I don't think would have been able to.
Man, I love it. That's a great answer. So, choose your partners wisely, and you recovered, you're doing great. But it's definitely a setback in its lessons. And that's why I always ask that question first, because I learn a lot from, just people in general, from some of their mistakes, more so than I learned from their successes. But obviously we can learn from both. So Alan, thank you very much for answering that. Cool. All right, moving on. Number 2, can you share some strategies or tactics that you use to increase income and wealth? Pretty straightforward.
Strategies or tactics. So I'll give you a couple. I think let's do a big picture, and let's do a zoomed in. Okay. Zoomed in. I'm a believer that we've all got to get good at marketing and sales. It's been said by many, many people that everything is sales. And my opinion is that sales is leadership, and my opinion is that leadership is influence, right? So we've got a lot of influences that those quotes are coming from. But I think we need to get good at marketing, which is a whole different conversation that we're not going to get into right now, whether that's marketing yourself, but typically we're talking marketing your company, branding your company, but the process of generating leads and being able to convert those into revenue. And so that, I would say that's a more specific one, where sometimes people take their eye off the ball. And if we cannot do well at marketing, and if we cannot do well at sales, whatever that is, whatever business people are in, it's hard to, David, you and I were talking about this. There's a balance between building wealth and having income. And it's nice, no matter which route you're going to go, though, building wealth or producing active income. It's vital to be good at marketing and sales in some capacity.
It absolutely is. That's marketing and sales. That's huge. Can't agree more.
That's the 2 big ones, I would say. The other stuff doesn't matter. Sometimes people are like, hey, I've heard about reading this book or that book. And I'm thinking, that book was written for companies that have like 300 people. Like you just told me you're wanting to get started and scale up from making, $40,000 per year to making $100,000 per year. Like maybe not the best choice of books right now for you. So the bigger picture one I would say is, could I steal some Stephen Covey? My favorite book of all time is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Begin with the end in mind. And if people could stop and take time periodically to just stop and think, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Where am I headed? Why do I want to head that direction anyway? What's the point? What's this all about? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And then I would say the second business wise, in case this is I don't know if this is a business, podcast, David, but I think people need to start thinking about how they're making money. And if you want to go like Robert Kiyosaki and think the old ESBI, employee, self-employed, business owner, investor, I think there's a lot of people that call themselves investors, especially thanks to real estate. And in no way are they investors, not according to the I quadrant.
Not at all. They're self-employed.
Self-employed, exactly. And there are a lot of very highly paid self-employed people. It's funny, some things never change. Kiyosaki wrote that book in 1997, which means he was learning these things in the 70s, and he was teaching these things probably in the 80s and the 90s to other people before he wrote this. And he's writing this in 1997, which is how many years ago? And some things never change. He said it then. There's a lot of really highly paid self-employed people that call themselves business owners. And there's a lot of really highly paid self-employed people that call themselves investors. So I think some of us need to get real with where we're at. And then also, though, think about where we're going. Why do we want to go there anyway?
Love it. I agree 100%. And I love that book, and I love Robert and all the above, man. So yeah, thank you, Alan. That's great. I love it. All right. Number 3, do you have any mentors? I should say, did you have any mentors or role models who influenced your approach to wealth building? And if so, how did they help you? So again, I'm not asking who these people are, just asking how they were able to help and guide you. And you might not have had any mentors. In fact, Eric Hatch was on the show just last week, and he said he did it. And I was like, what? That's crazy. But, most people do.
Well, one other thing I was going to ask is if you count, I've got friends who they call people mentors just because they've been a student of their work for
sure. I consider anybody that's helped me in some way, shape, or form a mentor personally. So yeah.
I'm the same. So as far as that goes, I've got hundreds of mentors because I've read a whole lot of books, and some people I've read everything they've written. But personal mentors, yes, I've spent a considerable amount of time and money talking one-on-one with mentors. I think I've always said, and I've taught people, my opinion is the 2 things you're going to spend the most money on as a business owner as time goes on, or at least that I think you should spend the most money on, is marketing and coaching.
Amen.
It's expensive things. If you can find the right marketing, and if you can find the right coaching, if you found the right coach, they'll probably help you find the right marketing. But if you can get really good at those 2 things, at taking advice from others that are further down the road, that have been through things that you either haven't gone through yet or you're going through right now, that will pay the biggest dividends. I think the biggest return on investment is in coaching. And so, yes, I've had mentors, personal mentors. I've done group programs, right? Where we've all done that. You sign up for something and you're thrown into a group, and then we've gone to seminars and all that. I would say, I think, what was the question? What have they taught?
Yeah. Just like, how have they helped you? And I think you kind of already answered it, because they've been where you want to go. Yeah. So they're basically guiding you. They're showing you what not to do as well as what to do. And I'm on the same page. I've spent $250,000 or more on mentors and courses and coaches and group coaching and one-on-one coaching and books and courses and, all the above. And I love the original answer. The 2 most important things that you should be spending in your business is, number 1 is marketing, because you don't have a business if you don't have any leads. But number 2 is coaching, so you can climb the ladder faster, right? That's really what coaches do, is they prevent you from making a bunch of mistakes and showing you the way, so you're not just out blindfolded trying to find, something. You're sprinting towards the goal. Yeah.
Exactly. And what better way to do that than to talk to people that have already been through things? And even if they haven't been through the exact thing that we've been through or that we're going through, they've been through enough. And I would recommend that to people as well. If you're going to be hiring people, hire people that have enough life experience. If we're talking about a mentor is different from, one thing I realized, so about 2.5 years ago, I hired just a personal mentor that its job is to help with my marriage, with raising my 3 kids, for me to try to become the best I can be. And it sounds cliche, but that's very different, because what I realized was I've had marketing coaches, I've had business coaches, we spent all this money on all these different things. At what point am I going to invest in myself and just me, the best I can to be on the right track, what I would say call the right track, and heading in the direction that I want to go?
Man, awesome answers. All right, this next one's easy. How do you balance risk and reward when making investment decisions?
Oh, God. That's not,
Which I know can be different from every decision or every investment, but I'm sure you have a pretty big picture. Like, what do you typically do to just balance the risk and reward?
Wow. Are you joking? Is that you're saying that's supposed to be an easy one?
That's supposed to be an easy question, man.
Oh, goodness gracious. There's
You want to know my answer? It's super simple. Conservative on my ARVs and liberal on my repairs. It's that.
There you go.
That's my answer. Because I'm a real estate investor and I'm buying discounts, fixing properties up, renting them and selling them, so on and so forth.
It's funny because that's when I was like, is he wanting an actual, because the actual answer, buy things for a whole lot less than what they're worth.
That's the answer. Boom. You nailed it.
Yeah. That's
my things for a whole lot less than what they're worth. So I think you probably like the name of my company, Discount Property Investor, because that's really what we do as real estate investors, right? Is we make our money when we buy, we get paid when we sell. But really what that means is you got to buy discounted properties, discounted assets. So you nailed it. That's the answer, my friend. Awesome.
David, do you know how many people I've asked this to full-grown adults? You hear the cliche, like you make money when you buy. Do you know how many people I've asked, adults that I've asked this question to? It's not a trick question. How can you make money on something? Sorry, or ask it like this. How can you sell something for more than you bought it for without improving it?
Buying it cheap.
Buy it for less than it's worth.
Buy it less than it's worth, right?
I was joking with my kids are very young. I was joking with them about this the other day. How much is it? Hey, if I buy something for 80 and I sell it for 100, how much is it worth? And it's another one.
Worth 100.
I'm not trying to mess with people. I'm just saying, stop and think. There's more than one way to make money.
Love it, man. All right, we're almost done. Number 5 here. This is a good one here. And this is okay if it's lengthy, because this is really, this is actually my favorite question of all of these questions here today. What advice would you give your younger self to get where you are quicker? Right? You've been through a lot and you're very successful. And at one point you were super successful as a tennis pro, but probably not financially successful at that point in time. Maybe.
Right.
But if you were just getting started out, Alan, this is you talking to you, my friend. What would you tell yourself just getting started to get where you're at right now? And let's say, I don't know, 50 or 60% of the time. What would be that advice?
Great question. I love this. This show's amazing, David.
Thank you, man.
So there's a saying, don't wait to buy real estate, buy real estate and wait. I would consider telling myself we did pretty well buying things at a pretty young age, but I would, once I realized it was possible to buy more than one, to buy more than two, to own more than three, there's a lot of full-grown adults that don't realize you can actually have 3 mortgages. It's banks will actually lend to you.
I got 46 of them today.
There you go. And are we proud of how much debt we have? No, we're proud of the net worth and the equity and the cash flow. Equity is not real money, right? But we're proud of the cash flow. And I'd rather have sometimes people kind of downplay equity. It's like a theme I've heard these last couple of years, and it's like, well, what would you rather have the opposite? Would you rather have negative equity?
No, not yeah. I mean, ownership is my key to wealth. There's lots of ways to create wealth, but my personal key is ownership.
Yes. So maybe, like I said, I think we did a pretty good job, but coming from where we came from, and I'm not going to say I'm from the other side of the tracks, but I'll say this. I set a goal when I was 21 years old to make more money than my parents that year. And it was because it was a very attainable goal.
Sure.
So I'll say it like that. I mean, my dad still lives in the 3-bedroom, 1-bath house that me and my 2 sisters were, born and raised in. So I don't, when you coming from there, I think we did pretty well. We started at a pretty young age, making sure that we lived on a budget and always made more than what we lived on. Or I should say we always lived on less than what we made.
Sure.
And I think we did a pretty good job at that. I would call that like the old Ramsey stuff. And then I would say, I think we've done a pretty good job at the Kiyosaki's. He was probably my next mentor. He didn't realize it, but I think we did a pretty good job at that from a pretty good, 22, 23, 24 years old. So
So what's the advice though? Let's get to it, brother. What's that advice?
I probably would have set a little bit more ambitious goals on the real estate side. I was very interested in business. I was very interested in building businesses, being an entrepreneur. I probably would have bought more things. I think people don't understand the compounding effect of ownership. We have made a lot of money on properties that we own for 10, 11, 12, 15 years, et cetera.
Sometimes 10, 11, 12, 15 months. I've never met somebody, Alan, that says, I wish I would have bought less real estate. Have you ever met somebody that said that ever one time?
Never met him. And I've been working with some clients of mine recently. It's just sometimes we just need to be reminded. And so and maybe I need a better way of saying this, but you just said it very well. There's thousands, there's tens of thousands of people that they all say the same thing. So when you find someone who says, I bought too many. Now, if they bought too many things and they paid full-blown retail, and then there's a dip, and then they can't keep the rent houses full.
That's a lesson. It's a seminar. They're going to recover.
I have heard that. Okay, but this is what I'm not saying be reckless, and you're not saying that either. Nope. We're just saying if you can buy more things, buy more things.
At discounted.
Discounted. Exactly. If you can buy more discounted real estate, you do it. You do it. So if I would have known that, or maybe, and here's a big one, David, I don't know about you. When I realized I was over 10 years into my real estate journey before I realized you could buy off-market properties.
Same. I was 10 years in before I learned that. Alan Biel is the real deal here, folks. It took me 10 years to learn that too, brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, marketing and sales. If I had known that it was possible to go pave your own way, to make your own deals happen, to get into more conversations, figure out how to, and I think this applies to every business, David. If your strategy is to wait around for things to come to you, then you may be you better be in for the long haul, because that's what it's going to require.
Yep. Absolutely. Alan, this has been an amazing podcast. Thank you so much for coming on, just being in my life and being such an awesome friend and just crushing it and just sharing this. This podcast is hosted by us, who have a net worth of 1 million or more. Everyone on here is a millionaire. And, you may or may not know this, but 1 in 17 Americans has a net worth of 1 million or more. So this podcast is of the one for the other 16. And again, I'm just so grateful to have you have your time today, have you share some of your knowledge and insights and strategies and tactics and even setbacks. All of these things are super powerful for the guy, like you said earlier, that's, maybe making 40 grand and wants to get to 100 and then eventually to 1 million and then, maybe to 4, 5, 10, 15, wherever, the sky's the limit. That's the beautiful thing. But again, I want to thank you for coming on the show today, brother. Thank you.
Love it. You're the best. And I hope it's helpful. I love the premise of this show, that you're out to help the other 16 and out of 17. And I hope this was helpful. And if people want to reach out, Alan at Real Estate Scaling.
That was my next and final question. How could somebody reach you if they wanted to connect, so on and so forth?
Alan at realestatescaling.com. It's ALAN at realestatescaling.com. Hit me up with an email. That's the best way right now. I'll get back to you. I'll have my assistant get back to you or whatever.
Have your assistant send me over a bio and a headshot so we can add that into the show notes of the call. And we'll get this thing posted just in a couple days, Alan. Alan, thank you so much. Guys, signing off. Until next time. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Everyone's a Millionaire. We hope you've enjoyed our discussion and that you've gained some valuable insights and ideas to help you build and grow your own wealth. We want to thank our guests for sharing their knowledge and expertise with us today. And we also want to thank you, our listeners, for tuning in and joining us on this journey of financial discovery. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast, leave us a rating and a review on your favorite podcast platform. And if you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to reach out to us on our website or on social media. Remember, at Everyone's a Millionaire, we believe that wealth is within reach for everyone, and we're here to help you achieve your financial goals. So until next time, keep hustling, keep learning, and keep building your wealth. Signing off.